With the delay of Starfield into the first half of 2023, it really got me thinking where Bethesda Game Studios is really at. More than likely, The Elder Scrolls 6, which is confirmed to be next after Starfield, won't likely be coming out until like 2026, 2027, and I'll explain why exactly I think that's going to be a little bit sooner of a turnaround than Starfield was. And to me, that's because they've already taken the time to create the Creation Engine 2.0. I know it's just an upgrade of their old engine, but they've overhauled it so much for Starfield, and I think that's the building block for The Elder Scrolls 6. Quite simply, they don't have to make a whole new universe this time around. The Elder Scrolls is, for the most part, a known quantity. Of course, they're going to expand it increasingly and have to deal with old lore, but hey, it's a lot better than just having to create all new things from scratch. And that's why I think The Elder Scrolls 6 won't be as far away from the launch of Starfield as the launch of Starfield was from, say, Fallout 4 or even Fallout 76. Regardless, we still have to wait a really, really long time. And that sucks as an Elder Scrolls fan who got their last mainline game in 2011 re-released in 2016. And I guess technically last year if you really, really want to count it. But for this video, it got me brainstorming ways that the Elder Scrolls franchise could be saved. And I don't mean that in the literal sense that it's going down in popularity or anything like that, but you need to keep this series in more of the limelight rather than just every decade or so. Now, I know what you're thinking, there have been some exceptions, there's been a few spin-offs. There has been most recently The Elder Scrolls Blades for mobile, as well as The Elder Scrolls Legends, the Battler card game, much like Hearthstone, which came out on mobile as well as PC. And consoles, I think, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, regardless, those are the two that kind of didn't do so hot. However, thankfully, over the last decade or so, ZeniMax Online Studios has been doing a really good job keeping The Elder Scrolls Online in a pretty good place. With semi-constant expansions always happening, it's nice to see that there is some lore always being added to The Elder Scrolls. Unfortunately, MMOs aren't everyone's cup of tea, and that's what this video is about, giving more of genres and variety to The Elder Scrolls while we wait for Elder Scrolls 6. But another important thing to note before I hop over to that is that ZeniMax Online is moving on to another game. It's not confirmed that they'll stop production of The Elder Scrolls Online's expansions, but it's not improbable to believe that at the very least the cadence of these releases will go down as they launch their new game, whatever that may be. Now, with all that being said, here are my 4 examples of how I believe with the extended talent pool from the Microsoft Studios, Bethesda, and Xbox in general could benefit from expanding the lore and the genre variety of The Elder Scrolls in a multitude of ways. And first up, I'm going to go really simple here. Something that I'm sure a lot of people have thought about, and I'm pretty sure a rumor even went around for this for a while, maybe not with this story premise, and that is an RTS set during the Great War to provide extra background to the Civil War and the events of Skyrim. I think it would tie really well into the most popular game in the franchise, and that's how I think you could get just a few more players in than those who are usually into RTSs. Perhaps even expansions could cover an overview of the Civil War as well, or other great moments in the timeline. For me personally, I think that the best developer for this would be World's Edge, the team made to continue Age of Empires. But hey, why not stop the burnout of that and let them work on the Elder Scrolls for a little bit, right? Next up is one that I couldn't quite figure out exactly how I wanted to do it between the Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild. Either or, whether it wants to be an assassination or just a strictly stealth immersive sim much like Thief. But I thought that Arcane Studios would be the perfect developer to take a game in one of those two guilds all across Tamriel in different unique locations in their much more linear narrative style. Don't look at Redfall for an example for this. And again, I think that the immersive sim nature and a focus on stealth would really help set this apart from anything that we've seen from these guilds in gameplay before. And another thing, Arcane's a really great studio. I love them dearly. However, their games never do well financially. So maybe something like the Elder Scrolls behind it would actually benefit them quite a bit. I actually also did a little concept video that they should do a Game of Thrones sequel game featuring Arya Stark. Granted, that will never happen, but hey, you can dream, right? Okay, next up, I'm getting a little weird. This is something that I haven't seen anywhere online, and I would love to see this one personally. This is a horror game that uses the themes of maybe like a Daedric Prince or something like that. Whether that's Molag Bal or Sheogorath, I don't really know. But I'd love to see a return of some of the old enemy designs from, say, like Arena or Daggerfall in modern graphics engines. Especially since some of those creatures haven't been in a game since those early games, and they're relatively unknown to newer players, so I think it would catch some people off guard. And an example I saw of this while researching, I can't say I knew this off the top of my head, but say the fire daemon or demon, however you want to say it, from Arena. Like, I mean, come on. Update that, make it a lot more gruesome looking, and you've got a really cool idea on your hands. What the story would be for this, I don't know. That's something that I always struggle with horror games, but a really good thriller would always be great, trying to survive some great threat. Now, for the developer of this, I really thought that Tango would be a good idea, but they kind of want to go away from horror, it seems. But maybe as a side project, this would be something they'd be into. Another idea I thought was maybe Raven Software whenever the Activision deal goes through, but we'll have to wait and see just how that goes. Okay, this last one I have is something a little more for the casual players, or at the very least the lore buffs. I think it'd be really cool to see a puzzle game set in like the Mages Guild, or perhaps even like the College of Winterhold type setting, because I really do think it'd be a great excuse to have a library full of lore books that you could look at and access for help through an increasing difficulty of puzzles. They could be magic based, physics based, or really anything they want to do, but I think it'd be really cool and satisfying to see your character progress through a school year. And perhaps you could even build relationships with your fellow students. I know this is sounding a lot like other games, but it's something that I think on a really small scale could work really well for the Elder Scrolls. And once again, providing all the lore books in one place. Say we set this in the most recent timeline of the Elder Scrolls, that way we know all of the most recent information up to date with no retcons included, and there's no Fudge Muppet videos breaking down whether or not something is actually lore accurate or not anymore, as everything featured in this library is considered canon. If that makes sense, let me know. But anyways, that's all I have for my 4 ideas. Let me know what you thought of the ones I had, and if there's any other ones that you had as well. I would really like to continue with a part 2 for this, and honestly the 4 was the only ones I could really think of and have a fully fleshed out idea. Like, I don't even know who I would have to develop that last one. But regardless, that's it for me for this episode. My name is Falling Hurts, and if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to do more of these talking point videos, and I've also got quite a few other videos on my channel, between gameplay, news breakdown videos of everything you need to know about certain games, or even my most recent new series, The State of CD Projekt Red, where each video will focus on a different game developer and pretty much what they have going on. You know, when they have a lot on their plate, say multiple games, multiple controversies, anything like that, I like to break it down all in one video with the most recent and up-to-date news. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Yeah, bye.